Inzamam, কেমন যাচ্ছে? How do you feel
Yo,
about coronavirus these days?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good, man. I'm blessed. Coronavirus, it is what it is, right? The word unprecedented gets thrown around so much, but it's something we've never seen before. I'm coping well with it so far, just trying to keep to a routine. However, my sleep cycle is messed up, but other than that, everything is okay. What about
And
you?
it's okay. I think যেটা আমার জন্য I was struggling initially to working from home and so
Mm-hmm.
on, but finding my rhythm and finding my productivity, right? Because with working from home, যে জিনিসটা হয়, এটা হলো you work in the same place as like in your room, right? Or in your kitchen or in your dining area, and you don't have a stop button, right? But it
Yeah.
took 2 weeks to adjust, and now I think now I'm getting much more used to, and I'm much more productive. And আমার মনে হয় we will still have this working from home until at least the next half a year, right? Until vaccines
Yeah,
happen.
I think 2 weeks is a perfect point for most of us to adjust. Like for me, it was the same. First 2 weeks was like just trying to forget what's going on. This it was a mess. Like যা ইচ্ছা তাই করতেছিলাম আর মানে কোনো কিছু রুটিন ছিল না. And yeah, 2 week পরে, like after 2 weeks, I started building a routine and been trying to stick to that. And I agree, like 6 months, a year, I think মানে for the foreseeable future, we're going to go into the world like workplace or wherever with a little bit of this risk that we might
Yeah.
contract the virus. Man, it's like an invisible enemy. It's a war we are fighting. We just gotta do the best we can.
I mean, you personally went through two major changes, right? So one was moving to Canada, and then
Hmm.
the second was after finishing everything, moving back from Canada. So which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's go with what comes first. Let's
Okay.
talk about moving there.
So moving to Canada from Bangladesh, how was it?
Hmm. It was difficult to say the least. মানে আমি I think school শুরু হওয়ার 3 weeks পরে গেছি. Semester orientation and everything. So from the get go, it was difficult. And, like for the first year, it was really difficult to make good friends. People to show you the ropes or show you what's up, because যেটা হয় ও উইকে কিন্তু people form groups and cliches, right? So that was difficult for me. But slowly, man, it got better after a couple of months. Just like anything, you go to a new city, there's challenges. কোথায় কি আছে? Where you're gonna get your ID cards, where are you gonna get your
Yeah.
driver's license, bank, things like that. Where are your classes? First year, I didn't have to cook. I had meal plans. That's why I gained 15 kilos or 10 kilos, whatever.
Yeah.
So that eating right was also difficult. And then what compounded everything was like I think in December of that year, I broke my left index finger. So তখন it was very difficult. It was my first winter, it was really cold, snow, managing schoolwork, and then আঙ্গুল ভেঙে গেছে, ব্যথা, surgery. So yeah, the first year was extremely difficult transitioning there. Like I don't think I fully transitioned until I started my second year. And yeah, from then on it got a bit easier, but challenges come and go, and the first 3 years were pretty difficult there.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine, all right? And I think to Bangladesh, right?
Hmm.
How how's your experience, right? How are you coping? How does it feel?
Um, well, at the end of the day, Dhaka, Bangladesh is home, right? আমরা এখানে বড় হয়েছি, regardless of যেখানে থাকি, at the end of the day, this is gonna feel like home. The first thing was যে let's talk about friends. আমরা যখন গেছি, আমরা like we're 18, 19, 20, whatever, আমরা একভাবে আমার ফ্রেন্ডদের আমি রেখে গেছি, but when I came back, like including me, we are all in a different phase of life.
Yeah.
So understanding that the dynamics have changed, that took me a few months, to understand the dynamics of
This
the.
is this is actually very true, and it's also something which I realized a couple of years ago, when or whenever we used to go back from holidays until everyone was actually, when everyone was still in university, it was still fine, right? Because you had
Yeah.
classes. But as soon as people started working and you go back and you're like, okay, now the dynamics are completely different.
Yeah, this was like 3 years ago that I first experienced. I think around the same time. সবাই যখন
Right.
কাজ করা শুরু করছে, right? So that was the first thing that's different. So friends and relationship dynamics had changed, and then the other thing being is that now like I'm working for my dad, so like the people যাদেরকে ধরো, there are people who have been here for 25 years, 30 years, even before I was born. Some have been here for 10, 15 years. তা আমাকে বড় হইতে দেখছে, right? So I'm used to calling them uncle or chachu. মানে এখন I'm giving them directives of what to do and what not to do. So that is a challenge, like transitioning to that, to be from being the kid who was gonna ultimately become the boss or take over, like finally being that is challenging because the dynamics again have shifted completely, and to compound that, it's the fact that আমি এতদিন যেগুলো আমার জন্য কাজ করছে ক্যানাডাতে হয়তো ওগুলো is different, like group dynamics are different, how people think it's different. Yeah, like that's been the challenging part over the last few months.
And how are you dealing with it? That's
So first of all is acceptance. I find যে আমার প্রথমে যেটা হতো imposter syndrome. I'm like, yo, they think okay, just because his dad owns the company or whatever, like he can boss us around, or like I used to feel I don't belong here, or I haven't done enough to sit there. So that's the first thing, the acceptance of what you're lacking, and acceptance that at the end of the day, they are part of your business, part of your team, but the buck stops with you, and you have to make the decisions that will impact your bottom line. So yeah, ultimate authority rests with you. So think of yourself as the one who wields the most power, not in terms of like, hey, I'm sure online করব, but growing into the role of leadership. So that's the first thing. And then I decided, since our business is construction based in gas pipeline, so there's a lot of technical elements involved with it, and I studied business in school, I didn't study engineering. Right, so there's obviously a gap of knowledge. So I started going to the construction sites and fields, and to see and how things are done. I've always gone to these sites for the past few years, but এখন I spend more time there to learn the trade. So I guess with knowledge, it builds your confidence. So that's what has helped me, like going to the ground and seeing what's up.
I think that's the key thing, right? So just building your knowledge on the topic. And I don't think you need to be an engineer today to have the knowledge, right? I think
Yeah,
there's
100%.
enough books or enough materials for you to learn something and then build on top of it and keep understanding the people. Personally, something which works for me, right, is um, I for me, I think something which changed over the last few years is I want to have a very open learning attitude, right? So
Hmm.
I always try to learn something from that person and ask them why, right? I ask a lot of যে কেন হচ্ছে এই জিনিসটা কেমনে হচ্ছে, right? And then just I feel very comfortable with another person telling me that they're better than me. So
Of course, man,
আগে
100%.
আগে এটা ইগোতে লাগতো ছোটবেলায় যে না কেন আমি আমি পারলাম না কেন, right? But এখন once you gain experience and once knowledge, so I'm very comfortable with people having more experience and showing me যে কেন জিনিসটা করতেছে and learning from them.
I think like you touched upon this part, and that is talk. Yeah, with maturity, you learn a lot of things. With experiences, with time, you learn so many things. Like মানুষকে বললেও বুঝবে না because you lack perspective. When your perspective and your perception defines how you see the world, right? So that's everything, and I'm glad that like you've come around to that. Because আমিও like imagine us when we're 16, 17, 18, আমরা মনে করতাম সব জানি সব পারি, but এখন মনে হয় যে কিছুই জানি না, আরো অনেক কিছু
Yeah,
জানার আছে, right?
yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
that's a great attitude to have, that
Yeah,
there's always going to be people who know more than us,
yeah,
even if it's from different aspects of life. So it's great that you
yeah,
are open to that.
yeah, of course. So I always ask this question, right? So define success in your own words.
Okay, Earl Nightingale said this, that success is the progressive realization of an success is the progressive realization of an worthy ideal. So my definition of success is somewhat based along those lines. Is what I when I think of success, it's like chasing your purpose wholeheartedly, right? Whatever your purpose may be, you gotta have a purpose. Chasing your purpose wholeheartedly, which gives you contentment and which fills you with contentment and gives you gratitude. At the end of the day, whatever you're doing, it has to make you. I don't want to say the word happy, but content,
Yeah,
because you might not always be happy, but you can be content with whatever you're given.
yeah, that's an interesting way to define success. Yeah,
I mean, again, like it's gonna differ for other people, like what their purpose is. For a lot of people, I've seen, it might be climbing that social ladder or corporate ladder or whatever. If that's your purpose, great. I just hope that while fulfilling that purpose, while achieving that goal, you are content and you're grateful for whatever you've been given. At the end of the day, if that's how you feel, you have won.
yeah. Tapper, can you tell us about your interests outside work? Right.
So outside work, well, it used to be guitar, as we know.
Yeah,
But like I mentioned, I broke my finger, and then tohon I didn't have a guitar. So what happened was I became distant. So I haven't really practiced guitar that much. And other than that, I would say again, like pursuing spiritual, mental, and physical wellness. Like I'll shortly mention this because a lot of people don't open up about their struggles. We always talk about the best parts or best bits. Is like I was depressed for like a year and a half or 2 years. Like waking up and just getting out of bed was like a challenge. Like that's the hardest thing I did those days. And I didn't have a purpose or anything. So yeah, so that was a struggle. But thankfully, my school had very good mental wellness programs. I sought therapy, and that really helped me. Um, and I was on a couple of meds, and that got me through, or like it kickstarted what I needed to do. But আমার ভালো লাগতো না, when I took those meds, how it made me feel.
do you think
Like
it
I could do what I
was
needed to. Go ahead.
because of a stigma in your mind, a social stigma in your mind that I'm taking meds and trying to push
No,
myself,
it's not.
or was it?
No. So for me, আমি in general, মানে আমার personal belief হলো যে জ্বর আসলেও প্রথমে or like ব্যথা পাইলো আমি ওষুধ খেতে চাই না. I just want my body to heal myself. So মানে I tried to take as less medicines as possible. So that's how I live my life. So ওইটার perspective মানে when I was having those meds, মানে actually মানে you start feeling different. মানে একটা actually যে ওষুধ বডিতে course through করতেছে, you feel it. Because মানে I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it is a drug kind of. Okay. So I didn't like how it made me feel. I was like, this is good for the time being, but it's not sustainable. I can't lead my life this way. And like for a lot of people, they still have to take meds, right? They still have to take meds, and or like they need to take meds, for example, like anxiety and things like that. But if you have to and it works for you, great. Like, but it didn't work for me because I'm a little bit long term থাকতে চাইনি. So so তখন I decided what can I do to feel better. So yeah, তখন আর কি I started reading books, and to give myself an edge, to give myself a purpose. I was like, yo, like I've gained so much weight. Money. There's a saying that if you look good, you feel good. it's materialistic, but it's true because you have a low self-esteem about how you look, right? So how are you going to love yourself if you don't love how you look, right? um so if you're happy with your body, great, but I was not happy with my body because, again, it was, I just didn't feel good mentally, physically, whatever. So yeah, I started practicing spiritual things, like praying and meditating and things like that. And I believe that when your spirit is at peace, it puts your mind at ease. And when your mind is at ease and your mind is filled with contentment, it becomes easier, like I said, to do other things. So it became easier to start working out again. Because, like, let's say, like, for example, when I started the day, those days when I used to go to work in the morning, when I used to listen to positive affirmations or, like motivational talks for morning, if you just YouTube on the charge, and those things really help you because how you start your day off is vitally important. Like, I think you mentioned it in the other talk where you said, you don't, do you have a routine for your morning when you wake up, right?
I mean, halka patla, not something super strict, right?
Yeah, but it's better than going on Facebook or
Yeah,
checking
for
your
sure.
emails.
Yeah,
Like,
for
that's
sure.
the first thing we need to disconnect, right? So if you listen to those positive affirmation, your days are gonna be better rather than listening to, let's say, a rap or hip hop song which complains about societal issues. Those kind of arts are important because they talk about social issues and the structural inequalities. Into There's a place and time for that. So yeah, just I built good habits around that, and I practice positive thinking and just grateful for any opportunity that I'm given. And yeah, that helped me, go get back my well-being. যেভাবে থাকতে চাই mentally, physically at ease ওটা পারি. So yeah, that wasn't really short, but
It was cool,
there's a
and
lot of emotions. I feel really passionate about this subject
yeah,
as well. Sorry,
no,
go
but
on.
it's super important, right? I actually have a colleague who works with me, and she does the same, right? So she would listen to positive affirmation in the morning, or she would listen to an inspirational speech in the morning,
Yeah.
right? And that's how she likes to start her day, or while she was walking to office, right? And I found it quite interesting. And on a completely honest, so everything in my life, the first time someone tells me something, because of my personality, I mean, hashi or something, right? And it's the same thing which happened with uh, it's the same thing when I met this vegan guy, all right? And both say, "Joe vegan." I'm like, "Are you sure? তোমার muscle কেমনে হয় দেখছো মাংস খাইতে হয়?" And then 3 months down the line, I think, maybe I'm just a kuri, and let's see how it goes for me for 2 weeks. And then eventually, if I like it, I keep it. If I don't like it, I discard. Right? And yeah, this is something which I haven't tried, but I'll try. I'll see how it goes.
Just try it, man. Try for 2 weeks. Like
Yeah,
we said, it takes 2 weeks to adapt or to try
yeah,
something new.
and you realize whether you like it or not within
Yeah,
a
for
few
sure.
weeks. All right, cool. Any advice do you have any advice that you would give to people who are just finishing school?
People who are just finishing school. Okay, so one advice, not just for people finishing school, for anyone, but more so for people finishing school, is like, I wish I knew that when I was starting school, or like just in A levels around that time, is like, never get too high, never get too low. Try to be steady or stay in the same place because, yes, you're finishing school, there's a high, okay, I'm going to graduate, amazing, all the courses are done. But then you're going to realize how much difficult it is because of the competitiveness out in the market. It's difficult to, uh, make yourself stand out sometimes. So never get too high, never get too low, because just stay steady, just believe in your abilities and have faith. If you're in a great place, great, be thankful for that, but just be humble about it as well. That's how you keep yourself in check, and just be positive. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's a very good advice. Yeah. Cool. Inzamam, thanks
Yeah,
for coming over and sharing your
no
story. I think
worries, bro.
it was really good.
Thank you
Right.
for having me. Honestly,
Yeah.
I hope this is a practice for more future interviews to come when we
Yeah.
are more successful.
Yeah. Inshallah. Inshallah.
Inshallah, man.
Let's
Take
see
care of
how it
yourself,
goes.
buddy.
All right.